Well, hello and welcome to the Moviegoer Society podcast, brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Toshworth, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and joining me, as always, is Drew Manhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. And happy Star Wars Day, Drew!
It is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you as well. We just talked about this. A little tweak to our intro, something simple and to the point, and thematic, I guess, is the key.
I found it electrifying. I'm going to see myself out now. Thank you.
Yes, on this episode, we're diving into a movie that kind of, restored my faith in the MCU, Thunderbolts. So we've got a lot to unpack on that. We're going to talk spoilers. Yes, we are. For me, this film, I'll say real quick, it's pretty wild movie. Pretty wild movie, and a lot of emotions, and we'll unpack that in a little bit. But first, we have a special Nerdtropolis announcement that I kind of posted about today. It's on our Facebook page. I posted on Twitter and on my Facebook ways. But we're gonna start by, hey, you guys, Nerdtropolis is throwing the ultimate Goonies game night, which I'm super excited about. We're gonna celebrate 40 years of this nostalgic adventure of the Goonies with the Hey You Guys Bingo Trivia at Eureka Heights Brewery in Houston, Texas on Saturday, June 7th. So our first official Nerdtropolis event is going to be a really fun bingo trivia night with costume contest, a Hey You Guys contest, 80s music, pinball machines, giveaways, tons of fun. 4 rounds of bingo trivia with the Goonies and 80s pop culture. It's going to be a great fun game night. I expect everyone that's local to come out. You can get your tickets actually, kind of like your game pack at nerdtropolisgames.com, or you can go on our website and there's a kind of an image flyer for that you can click on. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. I just started watching the Goonies again today. I'm probably gonna watch it 5 more times as I prep for this event. But Drew,
I was gonna say, you in particular, you're gonna have to watch it. Like, make sure it's for. I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times before, but you need to just have it on repeat leading up to this, so that nobody can get anything by you as the game, quiz master of the evening.
That is a tough one. But where is the Goonies for you in, your love for films? Where does the Goonies sit?
I like the Goonies. I mean, obviously it came out before I was born, but it is one that I have caught time and time again. And I do have a nostalgia for it, even though it's not like one of my frequented rewatchables. I've still seen it a good handful of times.
I remember watching it a lot, obviously, when it pops up on TV and so forth. But I have like the special box set for it. It's on Max, which is fantastic. So I'm going to be rewatching a lot. Thanks for being on Max. There's the fun little flyer for it. The Hey You Guys Bingo Trivia, a Goonies game night. Drew, are you able to come? Can I expect you to come?
It is as a kid-friendly price too. I am planning to be there.
Please come dressed up. You can come as 80s pirates or any of the Goonies characters. I told my buddy, I was like, you need to come as Sloth. You need to come.
It's the easiest one to do, right?
Is it though? Is it? And I was also thinking about adding like bring your own invention, like Data did. Create your own invention.
Data's my guy. Data's my favorite of the Goonies.
That makes sense. I think he's a fan favorite for many. But yes,
Oscar winner Ke Huy Quan.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, Oscar winning right there. It's gonna be a fun night. So definitely come if you're local to the Houston area. It's gonna be a lot. Cool prizes. I'm working on something really special on prizes. Obviously Goonies prizes, but some other special stuff as well. And I'm working on the playlist for the music as well, because I love doing that stuff as well. But yeah, we are here to talk about this film that's doing pretty well at the box office, I think, Drew.
A film that's just like the Goonies.
it kind of is. The Thunderbolts is what we're here to talk about.
This is why you're all here. This is why we are all here.
This is why we're all here. On Star Wars Day, we are here. As you see, Grogu and Yoda are hanging out with us. Very fitting for today. Uh, but this movie, and we'll get to spoilers. Let me see if I can find that spoilers tab right here because I think we'll where does this go? Does this cover me? Yeah, cover me. So, okay, so just that's your only warning you get on spoilers. And I'm gonna keep mentioning spoilers as people start tuning in. Uh, the Thunderbolts opened up. I could at least say I think 76 million domestically, which is pretty solid. I'm trying to find where it's at worldwide right now. 162 million worldwide.
Yep.
For a film that doesn't have that name, that people are like, what are the Thunderbolts? What is Thunderbolts when it comes to superhero movies? There's no defining character name in this. And to be honest, you don't have any real notable heroes in this film. I got to watch this in IMAX. I will mention that. Drew, what type of format did you watch the Thunderbolts?
I saw this in Dolby Atmos, so like I feel like that's kind of next best to if you're not going to see it in IMAX, see it in Dolby.
Yeah, Dolby IMAX, the biggest screen possible. We'll talk about the performances throughout. We'll talk about some of the energy of the team, and we're going to talk about the post-credit scenes as well and break down Sentry. That many people don't know who Sentry is. Honestly, I knew a little bit about Sentry, but not super aware. So this is kind of like my introduction to Sentry was Thunderbolts. Drew, gut reaction. How are you feeling about Thunderbolts now? We've had like a couple of days to process. Is it something you want to rewatch again and kind of dissect even more? Because I feel like for me, when I watched it, I was like, I need to watch it again. I think I'm missing some things that are connecting deeper into the MCU.
So the short answer is that I really enjoyed this. I liked it a lot. I'm kind of feeling like I'm not like, oh, we're so back, Marvel, fanaticism, but I am like, this feels like an MCU movie that would have come out in like 2017, 2018, in the lead up to Endgame, when like we were just kind of really in our prime where all of these movies were hitting. I think that of like the post Endgame MCU movies, this one's probably like a top 3, if not top 2 for me. But again, I kind of feel like that's not necessarily the highest bar. There's just a lot going on here that felt like a Marvel movie to me in a classic sense. And I think a big part of it is things being shot on location and being filmed in New York and having the New York feel. Because if you really look at the phase 4 and 5 Marvel movies, other than Spider-Man No Way Home, none of these movies really take place in New York City or have that New York feel that's kind of synonymous with Marvel and the Avengers characters. So there's just something about this that felt like a classic MCU movie that I felt at home watching it. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but it is definitely a return to form in what I like to see from the MCU. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
An overused term, but a very acceptable here, return to form, because I know people talk about that all the time. I do too sometimes, but I think for this one, you truly mean it. You truly mean it. Yes, it takes place in New York, but I love kind of the international aspect of it too. This scene was awesome. That the fact that Florence does the stunt is wild. Great opening sequences to kick off the movie. Drew, was this kind of the shakeup Marvel needed? And do you think this film really hit the emotional notes it was trying to get everyone to kind of feel? And, were you pulled in by all the action and the chaos that was kind of unfolding in front of us?
I really was. And I think that if you kind of go back to the conversation we had for Captain America Brave New World, there was a lot of talk around that movie of like, why would you make this movie that's kind of part sequel to Incredible Hulk and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Eternals that are like kind of less popular MCU entries? And with Thunderbolts, I feel like the best movies to kind of watch leading up to it are like Black Widow and then maybe the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, series and a few other things. But this one felt way less like, oh, I need to do my homework before seeing it. Like, even though there's a lot of characters in this movie that have been established in other franchises. It's not like there's a whole bunch of references in this movie to Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know, if you're wanting to know more about Ghost, or you can really understand the relationship between Yelena and Red Guardian just from watching this movie. Like, it's great to have that history, but I don't know. This movie just works as a cool standalone story, but it's also an entry that propels the MCU forward. So I feel like for once we just had an MCU movie that was kind of self-contained in a way. That might be going too far to say self-contained, but I mean, for the most part, like it's got its own story and its own ideas, but fits into the greater MCU well. And this is, I feel like, what they've been struggling to do with the other movies at large.
This is indeed a sequel to Black Widow. That's pretty much what this is, and adds characters from other films. But one of the reasons I love this movie so much, at this team that we see here, is a total mess. I don't. They have to find a way to figure out what's going on. They're not polished. They're not perfect. It's a raw team, dysfunctional as well. And what I really like is the addition. But to be honest, I like everyone that's part of the team. In this photo, though, there's one person that's missing. That's very obvious, and people kind of figured it out as the trailers got like re-released. New trailers, and the same scene was edited, and someone's missing, and it's just like, where is Taskmaster?
Yeah, people clocked this really early.
Were you surprised by spoilers, people? I'm gonna say it again, spoilers. Were you surprised that they decided to just get rid of this character and move on?
No, because I too had read the internet rumors and seen the people who had kind of like cross-referenced the trailer and scenes to really nail down the fact that Taskmaster was probably taken out of this movie pretty early. Also, we had a pretty big hint of that when Taskmaster's actress was the only one of the Thunderbolts cast not announced to return in Avengers Doomsday. I feel like that was pretty telling. So no, I was not surprised. If anything, what surprised me is how just quickly and unceremonious it is. Like, Taskmaster's just taken out and that's it. Like, they don't harp on it at all. Taskmaster is never even really part of the team in this movie. There's a scene where they come together, Taskmaster's taken out, that's it. Like, it's not like Taskmaster's taken out during the main mission. Like, Taskmaster's never part of the main mission to begin with.
No, and it's kind of wild that they got rid of her so quickly, because I think I read that the plot was a little different, and she was actually part of the team, but now they did some rewrites and changed everything up. So that was really odd. I would say this: I'm not a fan of Ghost. I'm just not, and I don't know if it's the character or the actress. I just didn't connect with Ghost when we saw her in Ant-Man. 2. What's the second one called? She's in 2, right? It's the second one.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's just called Ant-Man and Wasp. Okay, nothing clever with that name. So
it's Ant-Man, then Ant-Man and the Wasp, then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
There you go. Yeah, Ghost, not a fan of. This didn't work for me. I don't know if it's the actress. And I felt like she like aged really. Like, seems older, much older than I know it's been a lot of time, but it seems like way too old to play Ghost at this point. It seems like, unless somebody's wrong on the age.
I don't think it's her fault. Like, I think she's fine in the movie. I think that even in Ant-Man and the Wasp, she's kind of like set up in the trailers as the villain, but really isn't the main villain of that movie anyway. And then I thought it was kind of surprising when she was announced to be part of this team, because Ghost was like not a memorable character in her introduction anyway. And in this, like, I feel like she's fine. And I think that Ghost has a cool power set. Like, at times when she's doing her thing, it's cool to look at, but the other characters just have way more going on for them. We have so much more depth in Yelena and Red Guardian, and even John Walker, US Agent. Like, these other characters that we've seen more of, they have more background, and I think Ghost just has a lot to compete with as far as that goes. But I don't dislike Ghost. But for sure, probably the biggest non-factor of the team.
I'd would like to have Taskmaster back in. Emmanuel says, I'm surprised how much in the marketing Taskmaster. I know, it was wild to see how much in the marketing she was in. But this is your squad right here. Drew, which team member surprised you the most? And honestly, just admit it that like Red Guardian just stole your heart.
So, what's funny about that is I had, obviously I had read some reactions to the movie or seen some hot takes or things before seeing it. And I had seen a review, not your review, this was a different review, because I know that you were high on Red Guardian from the start. But I saw a different review that was like Yelena and US Agent kind of like are the heart of the movie, are really cool, and that Red Guardian shtick is like funny at first but gets old. And I didn't think that at all. Like I thought he was consistently great. One of the best scenes in the movie of like actual acting and storytelling is between Red Guardian and Yelena, and it was a scene I really enjoyed. I thought David Harbour was funny. There's actually a point because again, I said up top, I didn't think this was like a perfect movie, and I think it has some pacing issues, especially in the first half.
Well, because it's also very dialogue heavy. It's
Yeah.
really there's action, a lot of great action, but very dialogue heavy. So I agree with you there. I felt antsy at times. I'm like, can we just move forward? I appreciate like the themes and everything that they're going through, but like let's get to the major plot.
So yeah, so much of the movie was in that big like underground lab or the lab that went into that mountain, and it felt like they were there for forever, and then they finally get out. And once Red Guardian shows up, because he picks up the team, it was like, oh, the movie all of a sudden had juice again for me. So when he shows up, he's like a big injection of adrenaline into the movie, and it doesn't really let up from that point. I didn't think that's when I think the movie really starts to get good.
Yeah, and people complain about the comedy of the Red Guardian and all his jokes, but honestly, a lot of people, this movie does talk about mental health, and a lot of people deal with that in different ways. And comedy is one way that people deal with it, try to tell jokes and be funny and so forth. So I think it works very well. Red Guardian, I can watch anything David Harbour is in, but his Red Guardian is brilliant. But I really think we'll get to U.S. Agent, we'll get to Wyatt Russell, but I really think Florence and Sebastian are really the biggest leads and heart of the movie. They're really the focal point too, and I think obviously the leaders of the team, the co-leaders, I would say, because at some point they meet up and they think they're against each other, but they have to kind of work together, and they're the most experienced when it comes to dealing with what's at hand. But Florence Pugh, Pew Pew Pew, I like saying Florence Pew Pew Pew, like she does. She's a superstar, man. I think she is a better and more interesting Black Widow than Scarlett's was. Um, I think her character is much more interesting. Consider she's not technically a Black Widow, but she's part of that. Um, it's really her movie. She brings great humor, sarcasm, heart, just sadness as well. And seeing those scenes also with her and David Harbour were perfect. I thought that's what the movie was about. It's a sequel to Black Widow, and obviously dealing with loss and dealing with a broken family that's not really your family at the end of the day. And then also Bucky, Sebastian Stan brought the cool factor, brought the grits. I really loved
His intro into the movie. I mean, he has a few scenes early as like a senator, but
which
this
is
scene that
weird.
you have the picture of.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene. This is very Terminator 2.
That's what I was like, it seemed like a big Terminator 2 homage, like from the one hand pumping the shotgun to the leather jacket, the sun, everything about it screamed
the
Terminator
pumping
2.
of the shotgun nailed it. Like I could see him in a Terminator movie already doing that. Total badass Bucky is. And it took a while for him to kind of get into the action. The whole senator stuff or Congress, all that stuff was kind of odd, and I was just like, let's get him.
Well,
through
it's kind of bizarre, anyways, because he was literally like, like a Soviet assassin, and now it's like, nah, I'm going to be a U.S. politician now. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but it is what it is.
And then he's on this mission, obviously, to catch them. Emmanuel says, Guardian reminds me, what if Homer Simpson had superpowers?
Accurate.
What was the Homer Simpson superhero? The nuclear character. Do you remember?
I couldn't tell you.
He's like the
I'm not a big
nuclear
enough
man.
Simpsons head.
I forgot what it was. But yeah, that's a good point right there. I like this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, talking about Sebastian Stan for a second, like he in the past year, I feel like has really undergone this transformation from being just like a really consistent part of the MCU to all of a sudden being a movie star. And I think the energy he brings is so much different than what it was even 10 years ago. And, obviously he's been around, but then he seems like he's really leveraged his MCU fame in the right way and is doing cool projects. And last year we saw him in both A Different Man and The Apprentice, and he was nominated for an Oscar. And it feels like all of a sudden this guy is like really a star. And even in Captain America Brave New World, there's a cameo where Bucky shows up, and that was a part in the movie I was like, oh yeah, here's Sebastian Stan. Like, this movie needed this right here. Inject a little bit, I keep saying inject, or put a shot in, but still, like, inject a little bit of Sebastian Stan in this movie got me more interested. And then in this, he's just like full on star now. Like, I feel like he has gone from being this kind of side character in the MCU to now being one of the leads of a team up movie and having some true star power. It's really impressive. It makes me look forward to seeing what he's got going forward. And it also made me think, between all the MCU entries he's been in and post-credit stingers and, so on and so forth, he surely has to be amongst the most appearing actors in Marvel movies. Obviously, like, you can't include Stan Lee in that list from all the cameos that he made while he was alive, and Samuel Jackson. Like, now surely Sebastian Stan has to be up there.
It's a connecting
Right?
factor when it comes to, I guess, the current stage of the MCU. You always need that one character that kind of connects, and he can pop in and out. And I'm sure he's not asking for a hefty paycheck to pop in and pop out, like some other.
He's going to be getting to ask for more now, though.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I really love Sebastian Stan in anything. He's been doing really well. But like, yeah, he's a total badass in this. And I must say, I don't have a standalone picture of him, but I just love Wyatt Russell in general and anything that he has done as well. He's finally got a chance to kind of show off a little further with the MCU stuff. But I just watched a film called Broke, where he is a what do you call it? A bronc rider. So riding the horses for the rodeo. And it's a great film, and it comes out, I believe, this coming weekend on digital. It's called Broke. And he shows so much range in that, and everything else he's been in, he's shown range. And he's super talented. And so seeing him as U.S. agent, I was unsure of him, obviously, when we saw him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But seeing in this, I'm like, I know he's U.S. agent, but if he tried out to play Captain America originally, he looked like so much like Captain America suited up in this film that I could see him, like, if Chris Evans was never cast, this would have been our Captain America actor, I would think.
I see so much of his dad in him. Like, it's impossible for me not to see Kurt Russell in him. But from the moment that he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier was introduced, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of got the juice. And I really liked him in that show. And I think that he's very good in this as well. I like him a lot. And they really do a good job of leveraging his downfall. And honestly, they could have made even more B tier Captain America jokes about him in the movie. They make a lot of jokes at his expense, and there could have been even more, as far as I'm concerned. I loved all of those.
But he redeemed himself, and I absolutely love Wyatt Russell, and his U.S. agent is now one of my favorites, to be honest. I want to see more from him, and we're going to. Let's not forget the man that's making his debut. His second debut in film as Bob. His second time playing Bob.
See Bob in Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah. Same character, same guy.
Talk about another guy who I see his dad in him.
It is wild.
Looks so much like Bill Pullman. It's insane.
Yeah, Louis Pullman is the dude that crushes Bob and Sentry. A dual performance, and I just dug it. It was so weird. It's like stuck in my brain just seeing his performance on screen. I can still think about it. It's still in my head. And it was very interesting because it's a slow start, and he kind of plays this, patient that's in the middle of everything and trying to figure everything out, and then slowly becomes Sentry. And it's a slow burn, and I think it paid off. Seeing him kind of go with this team, that's not really a team, and then kind of going against them. Uh, Sentry looked awesome. Are you excited they actually got him for this? Since he was the second actor to be brought in for
I
Sentry.
think that's what surprised me the most, right? Is I feel like this is where I had the most hesitation was this casting because anybody that followed the production of this movie knew that Sentry was originally supposed to be played by Stephen Ewan and he had to leave the project. I think due to some scheduling issues or whatnot, and so they recast the role with Lewis Pullman, and so I had that in the back of my mind. I thought Lewis Pullman was fantastic in this. Like he really surprised me at how good he was as Bob, but also once he has to really transition into being the Sentry, which I assume you and me as comic book fans and who follow this stuff, like we knew from the get-go who he was and what he was going to be. But I still felt like the lead up to that was done really well. And again, we're in full spoilers. We've said that multiple times, but the scene where he is in the actual golden suit with the blonde slicked back hair and everything, I was like, whoa, like this guy is the Sentry. This was probably one of the best scenes of the movie for me personally, where I felt like we are in a Marvel superhero movie. I am all about this. You could complain or you could nitpick about like, well, he sure goes fast from, not even realizing he has powers or trying to understand them to all of a sudden being like almost like a god in how he's taking out the Thunderbolts team. But still, I
Well,
just
we don't know
thought,
what happens off screen too. I mean, people can learn their powers really quickly, especially in his position, because also he has he's not stable mentally. So who knows? Maybe
right.
one side of him can figure it out really quick, and he just knew how to hone it in and stuff like that. And you're more well versed in Sentry than I am. I knew a little bit about him. First off, the suit was cool, but like not polished enough. It looked way too basic for my liking. So like the suit, comparing it to the comic books, it's accurate, but I wish it had more shine to it.
Oh, see, I thought it looked so good. I liked it. I liked it being kind of just like, I know it's a lot of solid colors, but I thought the S, like big, it's not quite a belt buckle, but like, on the stomach looked really good. The cape looked good. I don't know. I really dug it.
I mean, it looked cool, but I thought compared to what's in the comic books and what I've seen, just a little bit more shine. But also the aesthetic of the movie is very gritty and dark. So like you couldn't really have something that shine too bright. And that's one thing I think we haven't mentioned is like the look and feel of the movie. Very dark and gritty, which kind of goes with kind of the vibe and also the mental health theme of the film. And Drew, I don't know, do you want to kind of give like a background of Bob?
Yeah, I'll just say, because I'm not like an expert by any means, but I definitely was an avid comic book collector back in 2005. And I had the Avengers arc where they really reintroduced the Sentry in and brought him in as part of the Avengers. And it's like a very similar. So, I mean, he's fully powered when they meet him, but he's definitely basically confined himself in the raft. And one of the first things you see him do is he takes Carnage and flies him up to space and rips him in half and kills him. It's like you learn very quickly how powerful the character is in the comics, but then they go into the storyline of the Void and what all is wrong, with this character mentally and what he's going through. And I remember as a 16-year-old comic book fan, like I had never really read anything like that in my time of reading comics up to that point and dealing with mental health in that way. And I thought it was really smart that if you're going to bring the Sentry into the MCU in this capacity, that you're bringing a whole slew of characters that have their own depression or mental health issues, which I think is probably what you were going to be pushing into as the next big part of the conversation. But I thought all of this was designed pretty well in a way that I want to make sure that I speak about this eloquently, but like in a way that any average movie viewer can watch it and understand. But I think that people that this really resonates with are going to feel like it was done well too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because everyone's dealing with their own issues. It's not just Bob. Emmanuel says, "I'm glad I went in blind into Thunderbolt. Love the journey we went with Bob."
Good, good. That's good to hear. It's kind of cool to have the stance of somebody who was blind to Bob and Sentry and what all that was.
Yeah, this film does lean into trauma and emotional healing, and these characters are broken. That's for sure. And I really like Marvel letting them dive into it instead of just glossing over because you're kind of with them. We probably could have seen a little bit more, but it is heavy on the dialogue, and I think that's what we talked about earlier. That would slows it down, and you just
Hmm.
want to move faster. But the story does take its time, but it really deals with mental health and kind of unravels all that stuff because these are not heroes that are just doing a job and trying to figure out where they fit in this world. And even though technically Bucky's kind of a hero, he's trying to figure out where he is. He doesn't fit with his current mold and his current job. He does not fit Washington D.C. at all. He doesn't know what to do. He's so out of place. He's a fish out of water on that. So I love the fact that we kind of saw how quickly he like in and out. This is not for
Hmm.
me. He's like, I'm trying it, but it's not at all. What do you think about Val getting like pretty much pushing this plot forward with her wanting to create the Sentry? And I wasn't sure about Val in the MCU. I was like, is she bad or good? It's
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, I
yes,
believe.
Day Fontaine, not
De
Fontaine. Remember,
Fontaine,
remember she corrects the congressman.
indeed.
Wendell
Yeah,
Pierce, who is also going to be in Superman, which is wild. I mean, he's in the MCU and the DCU. He's got 2 movies this summer, which is wild. But obviously, I'm a Seinfeld big fan, so I'll watch anything that Julia Louis Dreyfus is in. But uh, I didn't know her Val is like actually supposed to be is good in some aspect. Like she's really, it seems like she's trying to be helpful. Maybe not in the best way, but her intentions are pure. Did you get that? Like, is that what you think about her now? Like, what are your vibes and feelings about her character? Because I'm kind of like torn where to go, but I kind of feel like she has, I don't know, she's
I
trying to be.
definitely don't think her intentions are pure. I think that she definitely wanted to propel herself and her career forward and was what kind of willing to do whatever she could because obviously she created this program to try to create a superhero and a lot of people died in the process and she had no problem with Bob dying too, because that's she tries to pull the kill switch at one point, like that's it, she's like, this doesn't work. So I think that she's definitely not a a good character, although they do show some backstory for her and like give a little bit of her own past trauma and why she is the way she is. As far as Julia Louis Dreyfus goes, she's kind of had a really interesting journey as a celebrity because of the Seinfeld start, and she's always been kind of a TV actress. But during the Veep run, that show was so popular in prestige TV that I feel like it's elevated her to have more film roles, and she's done some like different rom-coms and things of that sort. I really like her as an actress, and I remember how shocked I was when she first showed up, I think in Falcon Winter Soldier. Like that was a surprise, because just not an actress you would expect to show up in the MCU. And so yeah, like I like this character, and I think where this character ended up by the end of this movie is really interesting. Um, so yeah, definitely not a character that I think is redeemable. I think that she's pretty low, but still interesting.
Emmanuel says Val only cares about gaining power by any means necessary. Yes, but what she's trying to do is pretty helpful at the same time. Like what she's trying to do is a lot of her points is true when it comes to what's going on in the world, the Avengers, the threat, like who's gonna come save the world. And that's really what this film is about, is really
So are
who's
you going to say that the organization of the boys is, that they all have good intentions and everything too?
oh, the
And
boys is a whole different story. The boys is a very mature, extreme rated R to X content over there. So this is more on the light side of superhero
it just
world.
reminded me of it gave Big the Boys vibes when they first discover Bob, but there's all the documents there showcasing like marketing tests for like the best hairstyle and logo designs and name
That
stuff.
was
I
cool to
really
see.
liked that part of it. And but it definitely reminded me of like the corporatization of superheroes that the boys is known for.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man is a corporate superhero if you think about it. I mean, to some extent, not in the same way, but came from someone that had a company and all that stuff. So, um, Sentry, we finally got him, and that's thanks to Val. That's all we can say. All right, let's talk about what Thunderbolts is. Uh, what's up with that asterisk? Let's talk about that maybe.
Which people
Uh,
had speculated this, right? Like, is this something that you thought was going to happen?
I was iffy about. I didn't know if they were trying to trick us of like what it was. First of all, the Thunderbolts is not the Thaddeus Ross Thunderbolts. First off,
Right.
so Thunderbolts is a Pee Wee soccer team that I always want to say Florence Pugh, but Yelena was on as a kid. So that's where that comes from, which I
Although
was.
Red Hulk mentioned in this movie,
That is true.
they
That
do
is.
they do reference Red Hulk and the president turning into a Hulk.
But it finally makes sense, I guess, because we haven't had an Avengers movie in so long, which really, I'm gonna say it pissed me off. I was like, what's taking so long? Or what's taking, why are we doing solo movies again? Can we get these team ups? We need more team ups. Team everyone up. And then Thunderbolts, we don't get the proper team up we would want. These are not our heroes, right? These are ragtag team and can't even call them heroes technically. But we finally get what this means. And here's a little tease of what's going on in LA apparently is they are putting the new Avengers title now as the weekend comes to the close. And that's what the asterisk meant. Like this is our new Avengers. And it's gonna lead into the post-credit scene when we talk about it in a second. But what an interesting face for an Avengers team, like the lineup. Very interesting. The fact that you have first off Red Guardian in it is kind of hilarious.
I definitely have some thoughts about this team moving forward beyond this movie and being labeled as the new Avengers. Mainly because Bob is still hanging with the new Avengers, but he is essentially depowered at the end of this movie, right? Like we see the post credit scene, and we'll get to all that, but like they're in the Avengers Tower, which we didn't even mention that. Like the Avengers Tower is clear, and
Yeah, we didn't talk
in
about
this
that or the
movie,
Void, honestly. So maybe we jumped ahead a little bit, but we can talk about that. So we'll backtrack a little bit, talk about the tower, and then the fact that when they battle Sentry, they have to deal with the Void. So let's circle back real quick because we're talking about mental health. The Void was cool, seeing them going in and kind of see their demons and battling with them as well. The whole aspect of the Void and how Sentries work, taking all of New York City in there, kind of like the the snap of Thanos was pretty interesting. And people were saying online, "Is like, where's Spider-Man? Where's so forth?" Like they were kind of, everyone was kind of saying, talking too realistically. Like, where are the other heroes of New York when this craziness is going down? Especially with someone so strong, and the fact that Sentry and Yelena have kind of a bond was pretty interesting, and I like that aspect of too. Very like a brother sister bond they have together. So did you like the way they showed the Void and that aspect of that final battle?
I did. I thought the look of the Void was really good, and this kind of actually gets to what I was going to say about the end credit scene anyway. But like, we saw the Sentry tear apart this team pretty much with ease, and so the way that they beat the Void, or the Sentry, is through like mental health struggles
Yeah.
and being able to relate and kind of grouping together and bonding over that and helping somebody through their own like mental blocks. And I thought that was really cool for this team because we clearly saw that as far as like a super powered team, they lack something. There's a little something to be desired there, but they were able to take down essentially a godlike powerful character um through like compassion essentially. So I thought that was well done. But the look of the Void and the shadow spreading and the people turning into shadows, I thought was a really well done effect and looked really cool.
People are assuming that Peter was one of the ones that got in the Void and he had to relive the Uncle Ben killing. Um, I wonder, like, what other heroes? I wonder if that's gonna be mentioned later on, the Void aspect of it, because like all of New York pretty much got swallowed in this Void. All of
Right.
Manhattan, well, Manhattan at least it seemed like. I thought that was brilliant. I like that fact that Avengers Tower was like the Sentry Tower, and yeah, moving forward at the end, I guess Val is what like 5 steps ahead because I think she knew they were coming after her and she was ready with the press to announce this new Avengers team. So I thought that was clever. And if she's trying to build a new Avengers team, I know we're going back on this, but she can't be all that bad if she's trying to put together something or she's thinking that fast.
Yeah, but I would
That's
think
good.
her whole deal was like it was going to be the Sentry who's going to be the leading the new Avengers, and then
Right.
they're going to form a team around this guy, and then the pivot is, well, here's the group that I have, so I guess they're the new Avengers.
Well, who else would be in that lineup? Like, who is around? Like, that's what I'm curious about. I know Sam Wilson was going to do, and we'll talk to that where that leads because that was part of the post credit scene. But who is around? Like, we don't know what's going on with all these isolated stories. We don't know where everyone is, how everyone's still connected and keeping in touch, and what else is going on. Everything's
Not necessarily all like on Earth or who knows where they are, but like Hulk is still around, Thor is still around, as far as like within the MCU.
But they're just playing video games. What are you doing?
I mean, Thor is off Love and Thundering somewhere. I don't know. I can't even remember where he ended in that movie because I didn't like that movie.
Well, I'll tell you this is my one gripe. I can't keep up anymore of when these movies take place and what order, because some of them are out of order because just by release dates, I don't think they can control where these stories land. And I forget, like, this takes place, I believe, in 2027. I think that's where the MCU is right now. Is it the
Yeah,
year
because there's more time jumps within this movie too, right?
But
like,
this takes place after, this obviously takes place after Captain America Brave New World, and the year is 2027. So I'm trying to figure out what we'll talk. I guess, do we talk about this, but get into the post-credit scene with the spoilers?
Well, yeah, we can't, because obviously that's where it gets more into the new Avengers stuff and
Avengers, go Avengers.
with the Z.
First off, I'm trying to recall the first mid-credit scene. Recall my memory.
Oh, it's the Wheaties one where in the grocery store where Red Guardian confronts the woman and tells is trying to get her to buy
a
Wheaties.
Comedic one. That's right. Where this is pretty much on the shelves, which apparently I think these are supposed to be hitting some shelves, or you can buy some of these. I know they're giving away as promos, and he's just really proud of his mug on the cereal box. So that's the first mid-credit scene. But the second one sets up Doomsday. And were you shocked? First of all, what's the time jump? Because I forgot. It told us.
I could have sworn there was some point in the movie where it jumped forward like 14 months or something.
So I think
it's
the post-credit scene. I think it's the post-credit scene was 14 months, which is a crazy time jump. I don't know why that much of a time jump. I don't know
because that's where they talk about that Sam Wilson has trademarked the Avengers name, so they technically can't even call themselves the new Avengers or the Avengers. I liked all that. I'm like, that's funny. And the Avengers with the Z, Red Guardian's way of getting around to the copyright, I thought was funny.
And he had like the racing tracksuit with sponsors and stuff like that. So yeah, we get a post-credit scene that's probably the most exciting in a very long time, with this new Avengers team that is pretty much who you see here. That's the new Avengers. U.S. agent looking really cool. Still has his taco shield.
Yeah.
With this, what do they call that type of hat? Beret. I thought he looked the coolest, honestly, out of everyone. And when I saw him, I was like, this is a weird deja vu moment. I feel like I imagined this post-credit scene at some point, or like how it looked. It's been so long since we've seen a post-credit scene look like this, and there's a reason why it looked so different from the film, and that's because the Russo brothers filmed it on the set of Doomsday. And yeah. Oh, you didn't know this?
No, I did not.
The Russo brothers did the post-credit scene on. I think that's the first thing they filmed on the set of Doomsday, and that's why it looks so different. I was like, this looks wild. I just, like I said, I still feel it now. A weird deja vu moment. Like I have this type of style in my head from something. And then we finally get our look at this new Avengers logo. Bam. When you saw this, what did you think when you saw that new logo, first of all?
Sean, you're gonna be embarrassed of me. I didn't even realize during the movie or at the point that it was different. Like I didn't clock it. I think I was taking in too much with the scene and where it was going, because the part that we haven't gotten to yet is when the dimensional rift opens up. I was like, well, I know what this is going to be. Are they really going to do this now? So I was distracted by this, but yeah, so there you go. It looks sleek. I mean,
it's super futuristic looking too, and still a little gritty at the same time. I like post like just stuff that looks so futuristic, but also has like that metal feel to it as well. You
Yeah.
know, so 14 months later, I guess, from 2027. So what they should be in 20. It's a 2028 is when
I
Doomsday takes
guess
place.
I'm with you. I'm like, I can't even keep track of the timeline anymore. There are
Well, when
people
they
who
did
are,
time jump in Endgame or Infinity War or whatever, like that's now hard to keep up of when things happen. But I guess it makes sense to do that as things are coming out. But yeah, that rift opens up. They get all these messages, and we see a giant ship come through that has a giant 4 on the side. I did not expect to see anything from the Fantastic Four. I did not think that was going to be it. I didn't think I knew that it's the big factor and it's going to connect everything, but I did not think that was the scene. Since Fantastic Four does come out this summer, I thought it might be something else. I thought a tease of something more dire, maybe. Maybe someone else coming in and teasing something. What did you think? Were you expecting something else when it came to that post
and
credit scene?
maybe it's because the Fantastic Four trailer played before this movie. It's been on our minds because, it's coming out in just a couple of months. Like we're rapidly approaching it, and it seems like they kind of have all the eggs in the basket of Fantastic Four. So in the post credit scene, as soon as they mentioned like I think they actually say a multiversal rift or something like that. I was like, and that something was approaching Earth, or so, I was like, it's going to be the Fantastic Four ship. Like, I immediately clocked it. I'm sure tons of people did. Like, I'm sure that's not unique to me. But I thought what was interesting about it is like, this is the question everybody's been asking, right? Is because they've been pretty clear about the Fantastic Four takes place in the 60s, but they're in like an alternate Earth. They're in a different Earth
Well,
than the
I don't know if it's
MCU Earth.
technically is it technically the 60s or just a 60s vibe? Is it literally like this? See, that's what I'm
No,
trying to
I think they are actually in the 60s, but in a different universe, or, because I think that's their way around that they wanted this movie, the Fantastic Four movie, to be a period piece, right? To take place in the 60s, getting to the root of the comics, and the comics launched and how they were in that. And
right.
so when all of that talk, and I've talked about it with you, I think on different podcasts before, but when they first started coming out with the Fantastic Four, oh, it's in the 60s, but they're not in this timeline. They're in a different and this and that. I was like, oh my gosh, my eyes started rolling. I'm like, this is too much. But now that we're here, I have to give them credit because A, Fantastic Four looks great. And I feel like they've done the right direction with that. And B, as soon as we saw this scene, I was like, okay, well, they answered the question before we even got to the Fantastic Four movie, which I thought was interesting because I figured that question was going to be asked or answered in the Fantastic Four movie. The fact that we now know beforehand is interesting. And honestly, I don't think it takes anything away from the Fantastic Four movie because I think we all kind of assumed something along those lines would be happening anyway. But now we just have confirmation of that. And if anything, it makes me more excited to see Fantastic Four.
I mean, once that new trailer came out, it looked so great, and then seeing like the Silver Surfer and seeing Galactus and everything's gonna be as comic accurate as possible, and paying homage to that original comic book in the 60s and the first family is awesome. So, looking forward to that. Emmanuel says, "I'm guessing 14 months is to hint at the real world release date of Avengers Doomsday." That's correct, but like
Oh, that makes sense too.
it does make sense, but that's a tricky game to play in case there's delays, in case something happens. Like they predict everything very well, I guess. It's hard to solidify these types of jumps and everything. I mean, they just filmed that one so they can say that, but the fact it all goes with the release dates is very clever, and it does work in some extent. But going back to the Fantastic Four, I was hoping we get something else. I didn't want to, I just wanted a better post credit scene. It got me really excited, but I wanted something that was a little bit more eye opening because I kind of missed the old ones that were kind of like really crazy and just teasing something bigger. And I mean, the last time they did that, they had to they had to kill off a character, or we don't know what we're gonna do with Kang. But I'm saying they need to be careful what they want to do. But the fact that the Fantastic Four are coming, I hope that we get an answer as what happened to that Earth's Fantastic Four that disappeared. There needs to be an explanation about that. It's not the same team. It's a variant. So I wonder what our variant of the main. I don't know what they call it. Do we call it the 616 MCU? Like, what do we
I don't
call
know
it?
if we're going to get into that though. Like,
You don't think
I
they're gonna
mean, is
mention
that
that at
really a
all?
question that anybody cares about? It's like, well, this is Fantastic Four from a different universe. Where's the Fantastic
Well, I
Four
need that
from
answer
this
from
one?
Doctor Strange too. I need that
It
answer.
was John Krasinski, and he got torn apart by,
No,
you
Doctor
know.
Strange said our Fantastic Four disappeared in like the 60s or something.
Oh, there you go.
The MCU's Fantastic Four is not around for some reason. And so I'm super curious of why not. Apparently we did have one.
What if that's it? What if it is the same? They say all this multi-dimensional
Well, you
stuff, but
could-
maybe they are from this timeline, and then they disappeared in the '60s, and then now they're reappearing. You know, they just jumped forward in time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
interesting.
the type of stuff where I start to go like, yada yada. It.
I
But
know, but I get so tied into that stuff. I should not.
my counter to you though, as far as the post-credit scene goes, is that we've gotten so many post-credit scene that tease things that like we still haven't seen resolution to, or like don't know if we ever will. Like in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, we got Charlize Theron
Incursions.
showing up as Clea. Clea, is that her name?
And then the incursions that happen, and that are we gonna get a new slate of movies? Like, it's wild that like we have this, then Fantastic Four, then we jump to Doomsday, and then we jump into, is it Spider-Man then Secret Wars? But like all this
Yeah.
other stuff that's supposed to be like parallel to the story. When are we getting those? Those are taking place after the incursions are going to happen after. I thought the incursions happened during the same time as, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm-
Like they're
yeah.
gonna, that's something they're either gonna have to retcon or go back. But like because I assume we'll get a Doctor Strange 3 at some point that'll star Benedict Cumberbatch and Charlize Theron. But like we've seen, I can't think of the Brett Goldstein introduced as Hercules,
That might never
in
happen.
Thor: Love and Thunder. We've seen Harry Styles show up in the Eternals. Like they like to introduce these characters that then we never see again. Obviously, the King stuff's different because they, you know, that's a whole other thing. But I just liked that this scene feels like it matters in the immediate sense of the MCU and the movies that we know are happening next, and that it actually sets up the next movie. Like it has references to the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, which is the next movie. So it feels like, you know, kind of like in was it Iron Man 2's post-credit scene was Thor's hammer, and then Thor came out like a year later. Like I enjoyed that kind of
That's
stuff.
true.
And
That
this
is
feels
true.
more like that, but then also kind of tying into Doomsday, like you said, especially if that's where they filmed it. So that's my counter. As I understand, like you could do something bigger, crazier, make us all go wow. But I like that this felt, I guess, more grounded in the immediacy of what we know is coming in the MCU. So I enjoyed that about it.
I need to see that scene again because I swear there's more Easter eggs throughout that, like that's shown on the screens and stuff like that. I want to dive deeper into things that they put out there for us, especially Thunderbolts. There's a lot of Easter eggs I think in there that I really wasn't paying attention too hard to. I was trying to enjoy what was in front of us, but on a rewatch, I need to find some more Easter eggs because there's stuff that's going around, you know, event wise as this is going on, and so I love seeing what's popping in and popping out on that. Drew. Final verdict. I gave this. My review is on Neutropolis. I did give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it's one of the top MCU films of recent times. It's been a while since I feel like we've got something that was really a true knockout on delivering something that I felt like we haven't had in a long time. Heart, humor, action really does propel the MCU quite forward. It's been a while since we had a film like even Brave New World didn't really propel anything forward. It was kind of a very standalone story that really had no effect on anything. And so this movie really made me believe in Marvel again. So where does this land for you?
I'm like, right. If I could do, I'd be like a 3.75 out of 5. Like I feel like it's right between a 3.5 and a 4 for me. So I'll round it up and I'll say a 4 out of 5. Because I really enjoyed it. I think that it's not perfect. I think there's some pacing issues, especially in the first half. But I think that the character work that's being done and some cool action scenes and visual effects, this just felt like it felt like home. You know, it felt like the MCU. But like I said, circa 2017, 2018, when it just felt like, yep, I'm going to a new MCU movie. It's going to be good, and I'm going to be happy. And this felt kind of like that, as opposed to nowadays when I go see some of these, I'm like, we're in a rut. Is this going to be a stinker? Is this going to be a success? And this just felt like, exactly what I was hoping from it. And I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. I find the Thunderbolts team to be fun in the comics, and the way that you can kind of circle in these anti-heroes and things. So I'm definitely interested to see what they do with this team moving forward.
I mean, it's our new Avengers, which is wild to think about.
I do have a question for you about that too. Sorry, while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Do you remember when Edge of Tomorrow came out, the Tom Cruise like Groundhog Day theme alien invasion?
Yeah, it's really
movie?
good. Yeah,
great movie. It's called Edge of Tomorrow. They kind of tried to retcon the title of this movie on like DVD covers and stuff to Live, Die, Repeat. I don't know if you remember that being a thing.
Really? No, I don't remember.
I think that was its original title. Then they decided to call it Edge of Tomorrow, and then on a lot of post-movie marketing started referring to it as like Live, Die, Repeat. You can find Blu-ray covers and things that's basically how the film is labeled. Is this film going to be known in the aftermath as New Avengers, or are we always going to call it Thunderbolts? Surely it'll just still be Thunderbolts.
It's going to be Thunderbolts. They're doing this for marketing purposes with the new, social media. It's wild. I see a lot of stuff on Twitter, mostly X or whatever you want to call it, and people are just posting literally the videotaping in the theater.
Yeah, I've seen it. I almost saw somebody posted the end credit scene.
Post-credit scene, the end credit scenes, the Sentry stuff, the other things. It's like they're not letting anyone go to theater to watch any of this stuff. It's only Sunday, and this movie came out just a couple days ago, and it's just wild. It's really bad. I don't know what you call it. It's just I can't believe like we're not shutting. They're not shutting it down when they post that stuff. And so I think that's also one of the reasons they're kind of pushing hard to kind of get it faster out that this is the new Avengers, because it's also teased at the end. And I think it's also smart because I think you'll get a new wave of people not wanting to go originally because they didn't know what it was. And they're like, oh, this is interesting. This is a new Avengers team. To watch it like that way too. It's kind of an interesting marketing. I don't know. Thunderbolts with the asterisks, it makes sense. It was clever, but then it was like really not paid. The joke was okay.
yeah, I agree.
I guess. I mean, the joke was okay that at first it was a soccer team, and now you have the asterisks actually means they're just new Avengers. But it was kind of teased by some people. Like it kind of made sense. And they're like, oh, that's gonna be the new Avengers team, but is it really the new Avengers team? That's what I'm confused about. I know, we got Captain America trying to build his own, and I was like, this is the C Avengers team. Like this is not the A team at all.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I wasn't trying to be mean to this team, but I'm like, if this is a true Avengers team, like they need something. And I assume that that's going to be a plot line in Doomsday or something, because obviously Bob is depowered, and so surely there's going to have to be a plot line of like, we need the Sentry again. Like we need you to be super powered.
He might just show up at the end.
His powers back.
Maybe he just shows up at the end to save the day. I'm not sure, but I'm also curious of what the story for Doomsday is going to be. I'm actually really excited. We had those chairs revealed. We saw all the OG X-Men. We saw a bunch of people show up. Huge cast. This movie better be at least 2 hours and 40 minutes, at least. Doomsday actually should be a 3-hour, 10-minute movie. What do you think, Drew, on that?
I just hope that I'm still here and in good health when it comes out next year. That's all.
Knock on wood for you. Knock on wood for everyone to be in good health by the time Doomsday comes out. Man, you need some mental health right there, Drew, with those type of talks. Very fitting for Thunderbolts.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying the state of the world right now. All I know is I just hope that I'm here and in a place where I can go to the movies.
I know, but man, all right, folks. That is our deep dive into Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's a spark that Marvel really needed. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's your favorite team member? Did that asterisk finally, work for you? Does that make sense to you? And are you excited for what's next with MCU? We got Fantastic Four, and then we have Doomsday. I don't know what we have on Disney Plus. I think I want to disconnect from whatever's getting delivered on Disney Plus when it comes to Marvel and even sometimes Star Wars. I just want more theatrical experiences for these big IPs. Honestly, it's more fun that way.
Agreed.
But make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Nerdtropolis everywhere for our reviews, news, interviews, and trailers. We got plenty more nerdy breakdowns, interviews, and more movie madness coming your way. Until next time, I'm Sean Tarshworth, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and you are
Drew Munhausen,
the professional media movie mastermind. And we will see you at the movie.